You're watching News 3, the Southern Illinois news leader. Live from WSIL TV in high definition. News 3 starts right now.
Good evening. We're following breaking news out of Cairo tonight.
A violent robbery at the First National Bank on Washington Street. It happened around 5:15 this evening. Police say a suspect with a knife and a gun injured several people during the holdup, and we're told at least one of those victims has died. News 3's Sam Jones joins us from the scene with the latest. And I understand, Sam, a state police news conference is about to get underway.
That's right, Eden and Emily. We actually just spoke with state police. Trooper Joey Watson is here, still giving us a little bit more information. But right now, we do know they have apprehended the suspects that they've been looking for all night long. That is the male who walked into First National Bank right here in downtown Cairo, armed with a handgun and knife earlier today. He demanded money, and from there, the details are slim. We know ambulances rushed at least one victim from the scene. Family here in Cairo have told News 3 one of the female tellers at the bank was fatally injured.
We're all just in shock right now. We just can't believe it. We can't believe something like that has happened. But it has here in a small town. And I mean, right now I'm very, very angry and very, very bitter.
Now, that was the victim's cousin, and she says that the victim was a teller again at this bank. Police set up a checkpoint on the south side of town for about 30 minutes. No one was allowed in or out of Cairo as they were searching for that suspect who, as I just said, has been apprehended. State police say they are not looking for any other suspects at this point. They're not releasing the identity of the man who walked into that bank, but again, we have been told by family that at least one person was fatally injured in the bank robbery. We saw police actively searching for their suspect earlier today, but it seems like all of their work paid off, and they were able to get him in custody without incident, which means none of these officers were injured trying to get their suspect. Reporting live in Cairo, Sam Jones, News 3.
And Sam, at this point, do we know if anyone else was injured? How many people potentially injured in this armed robbery?
Trooper Watson did just tell us that 3 people were injured here in the armed robbery, has not told us the extent of those injuries or how they were injured, but we do know that that suspect walked in with a handgun and a knife, so it could be that those injuries are related to those weapons, but we're going to have to wait to learn a little bit more about the extent of that information.
And at this point, Sam, we don't know where or how that suspect was taken into custody tonight?
Correct. All we know is that police apprehended him somewhere within Cairo's city limits. We did notice earlier today on the south side of town, as I told you, they had that checkpoint set up. There were multiple squad cars out there, officers running around, and they were armed. We also spoke to a witness who did not want to go on camera, but she told us that she saw a man running on the railroad tracks and called that tip into police. And we did see the officers not too far from where she said she had seen that man. So we're going to have to wait to find out if that is, in fact, the suspect they were looking for. But that suspect was found here within the city limits of Cairo.
Okay, Sam Jones live in Cairo. Still a lot of unanswered questions right now. We will stay on top of it throughout this newscast. Look for updates right here on News 3.
Sikeston police are trying to track down a shooting suspect tonight. Investigators say 2 people were riding bikes on Ruth Street around 2 this afternoon. A car pulled up and someone started shooting. One person was shot and had to have surgery. Police found the car involved, but so far they have not identified a suspect or a motive. Anyone with information about the shooting is asked to call Sikeston police.
To Franklin County now. A coal miner killed in an accident will be laid to rest this weekend. An autopsy confirms Daniel Payne was crushed by a piece of machinery yesterday afternoon. The 25-year-old was from Johnston City. He was married and expecting his first child next month. The accident happened at the Viking mine in the Sugar Camp Energy Complex near Aiken. Visitation is set for Sunday morning starting at 10 at Merman and Wilson Funeral Home in Johnston City. Daniel Payne's funeral will follow at 2. At least 120 miners are still missing after this week's deadly explosion and fire at a coal mine in Turkey. Recovery efforts are slow because of toxic fumes and other dangerous conditions underground. The death toll has now topped 280. There were more protests across Turkey today by crowds upset with poor safety regulations in mine and seeming indifference by government leaders.
Time for a first word on weather now. Here's Jim.
Sunny skies early today gave way to clouds in the afternoon, and a little band of showers with a few thunderstorms moved through. A lot of reports of small hail, but no reports of any significant wind damage today from the storms that moved through. Doppler radar right now showing that activity continuing to move off to the east and away from us. Most of what is left now showing up in southern Indiana, and you can see the last couple of showers moving out of Gallatin County and starting to cross the rivers and move away. A couple of light showers still showing up in southeast Missouri. I think we may see a few light showers or sprinkles as they really diminish here in the next 30 to 45 minutes across parts of western Kentucky. The other thing going on, the very cold temperatures continuing to move in. Right now, Mount Vernon reporting 48 degrees, 52 in Carbondale, 52 also in Cape Girardeau, Paducah right now, reporting 51 degrees. Even colder air is headed this way. It looks like we might even see a chance in the next couple of nights for a little scattered light frost in our northernmost counties. We'll talk more about that in the forecast in just a few minutes.
Jim, thank you. More evacuations in Southern California today as wildfires continue to spread. 13,000 residents were ordered to leave their homes today. That's after more than 20,000 evacuations yesterday. There are now 9 fires burning in the San Diego area. Near record heat and dangerous winds are fueling the flames. So far, the fires have destroyed 8 houses, a condo complex, and 2 businesses. Because so many fires have flared up in just a few days, authorities are looking at whether some may be arson. A historic school near Peoria is in ruins after a fire. The old Farmington High School caught fire early this morning. The heavy smoke and flames kept firefighters from getting inside. They believe the fire started on the top floor of that building. The cause is under investigation. The old school building was home to several businesses.
In our watchdog tonight, a new report says the Illinois Youth Center in Harrisburg is still struggling with some issues. The John Howard Association issued the report after visiting the center. It found the relationship between youth and staff is the worst in the state. Inmates reported verbal abuse from staff, trouble getting access to counseling, and they claimed fights are commonplace. But IYC workers in Harrisburg say the inmates do not always tell the truth.
They are in there for a reason. You know, not all of them are murderers and rapists, but, you know, they are in there because they don't play well with others.
The youth being released from our Illinois youth centers are having a hard time successfully reentering society. So, you know, we have to really take a look at whether or not we're building them for success upon release.
Many of the offenders at Harrisburg IYC are from northern Illinois, and they also reported anxiety from lack of communication with family. The report did applaud the center for its use of a new timeout program for misbehavior.
Illinois lawmakers are starting to approve parts of the state budget under the assumption the income tax hike will be made permanent. The House today passed a nearly $7 billion education budget. It increases general state aid by $132 million and gives additional funding to early childhood and bilingual education. But Republicans were not on board, pointing out the spending depends on keeping the income tax hike in place, an issue that lawmakers have not yet addressed.
State lawmakers may step in to keep SIU's student newspaper alive, and you could foot the bill. SIU President Randy Dunn discussed the Daily Egyptian in Springfield earlier this week. Lawmakers are considering a bill that would offer $70,000 in taxpayer money to the paper. Opponents say the state should not get involved, though. The SIU board recently denied the DE's request for a student fee to help with funding. We'll take a break. News 3 continues right after this.
Stay with us.
For breaking news and weather anytime, News 3 is always on at WSILTV.com, on your mobile device and social media.
Now a story of a local business and a 9-year-old boy overcoming adversity together. Rylan Ashby of Mount Vernon is battling cancer after a diagnosis 2 months ago. Dunbar Photography is holding a fundraiser for him called Smiles for Rylan, even though the studio is also facing hard times. News 3's Evie Allen has our story.
It's been over 2 months since the Dunbars lost their studio in Woodlawn.
We are officially back to work.
The building went up in flames in the early morning hours, a fire that devastated owner Tawana Dunbar.
We are still searching for our permanent location. Probably not going to build back where we were, but we're not 100% sure where we're going yet.
They've kept business going in a temporary location at the Times Square Mall in Mount Vernon. Dunbar says customers have been supportive, so the business is giving back. She's holding a kids photo contest called Smiles for Rylan. The proceeds will go to her longtime customers, the Ashby family.
We have started with Rylan when he was a baby.
9-year-old Rylan Ashby was diagnosed with cancer in early March, a tumor in his stomach. Since he's been sick, he hasn't been able to participate in his favorite sports.
Golf, basketball, running.
He's being homeschooled and missing his friends. He says there's only one upside to being sick.
That I get to go on a trip after this.
When he gets better, his family hopes to travel to Hawaii. He's been on chemo treatments and is waiting for surgery. Dunbar Photography is holding the contest till early June, and they plan to promote it on their Facebook page.
It does take time and it does take effort, but you know, if everybody would just kick in and do a little bit, it would just make the world a better place.
Rylan says he's very thankful for all the support, and he has dreams of becoming a lawyer one day.
Because I like to argue.
In Mount Vernon, Evie Allen, News 3.
Those chemo treatments continue, and surgery for Rylan is scheduled for June.
An old building in Perry County gets a facelift, making way for a new Southern Illinois brewery. More on that straight ahead. But first, the sun made an appearance today, but then showers moved back in. How are things shaping up for the weekend? Jim's forecast up next.
Putting accuracy first. This is News 3 weather.
Shower and thunderstorm activity moved into the region this afternoon. It was a pretty solid line that moved in, especially in southeast Missouri, almost from River to Arkansas. We saw a band with some isolated heavy rain showers in it, several reports of pea-size hail and a lot of lightning for a while. That band continues to move off to the east. A secondary little wave moving in right now, creating a few little light showers. That is about it. Rain totals today, less than 1/4 inch, pretty much the rule across our region. About 1/10 coming in from Paducah, a little more than that in places like Poplar Bluff, Mount Vernon, Carbondale, and Cape Girardeau. No one showing 2/10. All the reports coming in from the local airports. The other thing going on, the very cold air that continues to move into the region. 42 degrees in Chicago. We're not the only ones. I say the region, the entire middle part of the country right now, really seeing the very cool conditions. 42 in Chicago, 43 in Omaha, 42 in North Platte, Nebraska. As far south as Tulsa, 50 degrees, the reading this evening. Our low this morning, 46. Likely be cooler tomorrow morning, likely be even colder than that Saturday morning. High this afternoon, only 62 degrees. We picked up 12 100ths in our rain gauge for the day. For the year, we're just about 20 inches. Temperatures this morning all across the region, mid-40s for lows. Checking in with some of our WeatherNet sites, and Ziegler and Mount Vernon both at 65. McLeansboro a little warmer with a high today of 66 degrees. Goreville topping out at 63. Currently in Marion, 50 degrees, 18 100ths in the gauge, and a light breeze showing up right now, but the big wind gust about 39 miles an hour. Most of the wind gusts we saw with the band of storms in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range. Tomorrow, as Skycast cycle through, I think we may see sun in the morning, just like we did today. A few more clouds around in the afternoon. And then again, late afternoon and evening, that chance for a few little showers. Doesn't look like a big rain event. And I think more of us will stay dry tomorrow, but a few showers scattered about in the afternoon. High temperature around 60. Low tomorrow morning looks like we're going to start off around 41. I think we could be even cooler Saturday morning. A chance our northernmost counties could see a little frost on the ground. It doesn't look like a killing frost or anything like that. Something to be aware of. And Saturday, I've changed the forecast to partly cloudy, but I wanted you to see the animation on our Skycast showing a lot of clouds around in southeast Missouri, some showers close to us. So we'll leave it partly cloudy for right now, knowing that we will likely see a big difference in the weather across the region, but it does look like it's all improving. At least I think it's improving. Temperatures getting warmer and going from a few showers possible tomorrow to partly cloudy for Sunday and Monday. By Tuesday, as the warm front approaches, I think we may see a few more clouds around, but a high there, 79 degrees. And then on beyond that, and we'll start to see this on the board tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday next week, I think we're going to see temperatures into the 80s. So it does look like we're going to warm right back up next week.
Okay,
nice.
Jim, thanks. Well, more on our top story now. We want to listen in to part of a news conference just completed on that armed robbery at a bank in Cairo.
Our Sam Jones talked with State Trooper Joey Watson.
Right now, we are confirming that the suspect is in custody, and he was taken into custody without incident.
Looking for anyone else?
Not at this time.
Do we have names?
That'll be released later.
What about anything on people who were injured? Do we have any updates on their condition?
We are not releasing information right now concerning their injuries. If you're looking for information regarding that supposedly there were people that had been fatally wounded, you can check with the coroner's office to confirm that, but we are not at this time.
Can you confirm how many people were in cuffs?
There were 3 that were injured.
Were they all employees of the bank?
I do not know.
Where was he found?
In Cairo, in the city limits of Cairo.
Okay. Now, we had heard some things about possibly him being in the water, boats out. Is there anything you can tell us about that?
He was not in water.
Where inside the building can you tell us into
I don't have details from the actual crime scene.
Do we know what kind of gun he had on him?
I don't have those details.
Weapons were recovered, though?
I don't have those details.
Okay.
More information will be released.
Not great audio or video on that, but you get a sense of state police still in the middle of this investigation and not saying a lot still about that armed robbery. Happened about 5:15, First National Bank, a man with a gun and a knife, 3 people injured, but we do not know the extent of their injuries or if one of them has been killed at this point.
Family members telling us that one person was killed, an employee at that bank, but still working to confirm that with the state police and also to find out more about the suspect that they've taken into custody this
News
evening.
3 Sam Jones remains in Cairo, and we're going to get back to her by the end of this newscast, so stay tuned for that.
Well, they are counting on better weather for the Cape Girardeau Regional Air Festival this weekend. The event welcomes performers from all over the country and Canada. News 3's Nick Housen has a preview.
From people jumping out of planes to jets flying just a few feet off the ground at scorching speeds. You'll be able to see it all this weekend at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport.
There's almost always something happening.
And this year's headline act is the Canadian Air Force Snowbirds.
We're Canada's version of either the Thunderbirds or the Blue Angels. We're the national defense military jet aerobatic team.
Captain Thomas Edelson was in the first Snowbird jet to arrive this afternoon. The team has been performing daring stunts across the U.S. and Canada for more than 40 years and offers something unique to spectators.
Most people are used to, 3-ship, 4-ship, maybe 6-ship formations. So 9 planes, it's a lot of aircraft in front of you. Because the jets are a little bit slower and very, very maneuverable, we're almost always in front of the crowd.
And they're not the only act in town. The Army Golden Knights parachute team will perform several demonstrations throughout the weekend. Daniel Sorio explains the experience.
I'd say the most exhilarating part is when you're standing in the door looking out at the ground and getting ready to jump. Then once you're in free fall, it's like freedom.
In addition to the Snowbirds and parachute teams, several other aerobatic acts will take to the skies.
It's going to be an amazing show.
In Cape Girardeau, Nick Housen, News 3.
So shows are set this weekend for Saturday and Sunday starting at 1:30 at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. Gates open at 10 a.m.
An old hotel in downtown DuQuoin is getting a makeover. The St. Nicholas Hotel will soon be the St. Nicholas Brewing Company. A group bought the building a few years ago and has slowly been renovating it. The company board hopes to open the new attraction in July, giving people in DuQuoin and the area the chance to try new local beers and food. To sports now, trips to 2A state in girls track and field were on the line this afternoon in Heron. Darren's in next with that.
Plus, we'll meet a Murfreesboro teen whose dedication to his sport is paying off. Sports is next.
This is News 3 Sports in HD.
Anna Jonesboro was all set to host a 1A girls soccer regional this week, but all the rain has left AJ's field unplayable. To get the regional in, they had to move the games to multiple locations. One of those, Carbondale, where AJ took on Harrisburg this evening. The rain held off for part of the first half before the skies opened up. AJ's offense was rolling. J.C. Pender sneaks one past the goalie. Lady Cats up 2-0. Harrisburg trying to answer. Check out this goal by Hannah Bartok as she finds the back of the net. That's a Martin's Moments nominee. But this day belongs to AJ. Courtney Kendrick will rifle this one past the outstretched arms of the goalie, and AJ cruises to an 8-1 win. Also this evening, top-seeded Jabot shut out Massac County 4-0. The Hawks will face the Wildcats for a regional title tomorrow night at 6:30. That game will be played in Marion. Sticking with the postseason theme, Area 2A girls tried to earn trips to state and track and field at the Heron Sectional. Cahokia dominated the day, winning 11 events, including to Kyra Buford in the 300 hurdles. Heron's Aaron Lukens was second and is also headed to state. Lukens' teammate Kara Martin cruised to victory in the 1600 meters, with Murfreesboro's Brandy Dedecker finishing second. Carbondale's Aisha Croft is on her way to state in the 200. She finished second to Cahokia's Mariah Hudson. And Massac County's Emily Horde is among the area contingent to qualify in the field events. Horde finished second in the triple jump. In all, 20 area individuals and 2 relays qualified for state. Cahokia cruised to the sectional title. Centralia, Marion, and Heron finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Carterville and Chester will host 1A sectionals tomorrow. Murfreesboro native David Watkins was introduced to gymnastics when he was just 18 months old, and the sport has played a major role in his life ever since. As Caleb Martin found out, Watkins sacrifices a big part of his day to compete in the sport he loves.
Each day when school is ending, Murfreesboro junior David Watkins climbs into his car and leaves. But he isn't going home. Instead, he drives 2.5 hours to the St. Louis Gym Center for gymnastics practice. He makes this trip 5 days a week, year-round.
It's definitely taken some practice to get used to. It's a 2.5 hour drive one way, and then a 4-hour practice, and then a 2.5 hour drive back. I usually get home at 11:30 at night, plus homework.
I've never seen or heard of anyone doing anything like that in this area.
David is dedicated to the sport he loves, but it's not all about practice. He competes and recently participated in his 2nd Junior Olympics. On day 1, he qualified to compete in the rings and floor events. He finished in 23rd place in the rings and 18th in the floor event, while placing 37th overall in the nation.
It was really, really amazing. It was an awesome experience. I'm really humbled by everybody who was supporting me. I finished around where I wanted to be, a little bit higher than where I wanted to be actually, so I was very, very happy with how I did.
During David's final year of competition at the high school level, he is focused on improving in each event as well as earning a college scholarship.
That's got to be one of my main drives that keeps me in the sport and keeps it interesting and keeps me going. Just the drive to get that final goal of getting a college scholarship.
I think that's something that's achievable for David, and it's a goal that he's going to be working hard towards this summer and all next season.
David hopes to return to the Junior Olympics next May and compete in the all-around. But as for now, the long trips to Missouri continue. Reporting from St. Louis, Caleb Martin, News 3 Sports.
That is a story of dedication right there.
Incredible dedication.
Amazing.
Darren, thank you.
Sure.
We'll be right back.
An update now on that breaking news out of Cairo.
A suspect is in custody this evening after a violent armed robbery with multiple injuries. Family members tell us one person was killed. Our Sam Jones joins us live again on the phone. And Sam, what is the latest?
Emily and Eden, police say they got their suspect in custody around 9:15 tonight here in the city limits of Cairo. He is the man they believe walked into First National Bank right here in downtown Cairo wearing dark clothing, armed with a handgun and knife. He did demand money, and in the end, 3 people were injured. As you just said, family confirmed exclusively to News 3 that one of the victims is a female bank teller and that she was fatally injured in the robbery. We know ambulances took the other 2 victims to Cape Girardeau. We're waiting to hear what may have happened to them, what the extent of their injuries are. But after this robbery happened at 5:15 tonight, a manhunt ensued. Police from many different agencies like state police, the FBI, sheriff's department here, all working together to try and find their male suspect who had fled in a car. They did find him without incident, which means no one was injured while trying to arrest their suspect. They got him in custody somewhere here inside the city limits. They say that people here in Cairo now have no reason to be afraid they can leave their homes. They're not looking for any other suspects. The name of that suspect is not being released just yet. We're going to have to wait to learn that in more details. Police are saying that we'll get an update sometime tomorrow. There will be obviously many charges attached to this, but police say at this point here in downtown Cairo, the checkpoint between streets on either side of the bank will remain. They're continuing to investigate the bank, which is now a crime scene. We can still see a heavy police presence out and about here, officers walking around, investigators clearly working hard, pulling long hours to try and resolve this armed robbery. But again, that bank robbery suspect is in custody. 3 people injured. Family says that one of the female tellers was fatally injured. For now, I'm reporting live in Cairo. Sam Jones, News 3.
And Sam, that suspect was armed with a handgun and a knife. That's what we heard earlier, correct?
That is exactly correct. Police will not say whether or not those weapons were used in this robbery or if they are related to the victim's injuries, but he was armed with both a handgun and a knife.
Okay, Sam Jones reporting from Cairo for us tonight. Expect more on this story, of course, a lot more on this story as we get more answers coming up tomorrow. And we have time for a last check on weather tonight, Jim.
And one more check on travel weather. The chance for rain continuing to move away and off to the east. Notice St. Louis tomorrow, just partly cloudy, a high of 61, and warmer temperatures showing up off to the southwest. Amarillo tomorrow, they were in the 70s today. Low 80s tomorrow. That warmer weather expected in here next week. We've still got a couple of cool days coming our way.
But the 80s are coming back.
Next week, I think we'll see them.
All right, Jim, thanks.
Thanks, Jim. Stay with News 3 for updates on the armed robbery in Cairo on the air and online. Jimmy Kimmel Live is next.
Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.